Hari Om. In today's session, we will complete the remaining 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, which is entitled The Division Between the Divine and the Demoniac. So, the divine and the demoniac is referring to human beings and the characteristics of divine human beings and the characteristic of demoniac human beings. For the divine qualities, the Lord has given 26 divine qualities in this chapter 16, verses 1, 2, and 3. And then from verse number 4 to verse number 20, which we have covered, the Lord gave the characteristics and the behavior of the demoniac people. Now, in the closing verses, the Lord wants to give us a remedy for all those who don't want to follow a demoniac lifestyle and end up going to Patal Lok or the hell, go to inferior births. But for all those who are dedicated or interested in leading a spiritual life, then the Lord wants to tell us that we have to guard ourselves from these 3 enemies that obstruct our spiritual growth. So let us go now into verse number 21, when the Lord says there are Trividam. Trividam means 3. So there are 3 dwaram, doors. There are 3 doors. Where do they go to? Idam, this, Narakashe. They go to Narakashe, means these 3 doors lead us to hell. So, although hell is not defined here, we can take it to mean that these are the characteristics of the demonic people. So these 3 qualities that the Lord is giving are the characteristics which will make a human being into a demoniacal being. So these are the 3 things that the Lord wants us to avoid, to be very careful and to be vigilant that we don't get these 3 qualities. So what will be the consequences of a demoniac lifestyle? The Lord says here in this verse, if you look at the second line of the verse, Atmanam Nashanam. The consequences, if we give in to these 3 qualities, lead a demoniacal lifestyle, Asanam, it will lead to our own, Atmanaha, it will lead to our own Nasanam, destruction. Destruction here means not material destruction. A demonic person may have a lot of money, but it will lead to his or her spiritual destruction. It will lead us further and further away from God and lead to our spiritual downfall. So what are the 3 qualities that we should be vigilant about? The first one is kama, desire or passion. So we have seen that not all desires are bad. Having desires for praying, going to temple, to do seva, to do dhanam, those type of desires are not bad. But what we are talking about is desires that are selfish, that only where we consider ourselves and we don't bother about the feelings or the lives of others. So we are willing to destroy others in order to fulfill our own desires. So the first are the selfish desires. And the second is adharmic desires that go against the very scriptures. So scriptures say don't do this, we do that. We do that, that becomes adharmic actions. So the first one to watch out for is selfish desires and adharmic desires. Second is krodha, anger. Now, how is krodha or anger related to desires? When we have a desire that is not fulfilled, there is an obstruction. Depending on the intensity of the desire which is obstructed, will be the result of their anger, disappointment, agitation, frustration. So, krodha is a modification of unsatisfied or interrupted desire. And the third one is lobha. Again, how is lobha related to greed? How is lobha, greed related to desire? When desires get out of control, when they start to dominate our lives, then that results in greed. So, satisfying our desires, continuously satisfying our desires, as long as our desires keep on getting satisfied, it is not going to lead to a peaceful mind. Constantly just satisfying selfish and adharmic desires will lead to greed, because we want more, we want bigger things, we want more money, more fame, more position, more power. So we cannot satisfy desire by giving in to desire. In fact, in Mahabharata there is a warning. It says, giving into desires is like pouring ghee into a fire. When you satisfy one desire, it's like pouring ghee into the fire. The more and more ghee you pour into the fire, the more the fire gets stronger and stronger. So that leads to greed. And unsatisfied desires lead to krodha or anger. So these three, they go hand in hand. Kama, krodha, lobha. And these are the three gates to hell or to a demoniac lifestyle, which will take us for a spiritual downfall. There is a text written by Adi Sankaracharya. It's called Vairagya Dindima, and it is a proclamation of dispassion. And in that, Adi Sankaracharya writes that in this body, in verse number 2, he writes, in this body there reside three thieves. So we all have three thieves in everybody. They have these three thieves. What are the three thieves? Desire, anger, greed. Kama, krodha, lobha. So why does he call them thieves? Because when we give in to this kama, krodha, lobha, then they are waiting to steal the jewel of knowledge. So instead of a human being pursuing the right path, pursuing spiritual knowledge, pursuing a spiritual lifestyle, these three thieves come and steal away that correct lifestyle, that dharmic lifestyle, that lifestyle which will lead us to spiritual growth. They snatch this away from us when we are overpowered by kama, krodha, lobha. So Shankara says, be wide awake always to these three qualities. So what does Lord say now in verse number 21? Krishna says, Tasman, therefore, tyajit, forsake, give up, avoid all etat, these three qualities, which will take you for a spiritual downfall. They are barriers to your spiritual progress. May you be mindful of them. So how do we avoid what we call falling into a trap of these three qualities? We should practice the opposite. What is the opposite of kama, desire? Is santosha, contentment. Be content and thank the Lord for everything He has blessed you with. It does not mean that you don't strive to fulfill your desires, but when you cultivate this attitude of gratitude, then whatever you strive for, if it comes, you thank the Lord. If it doesn't come, you will still be thankful to the Lord. So a person can have everything. He can have the best house, the best car, the best business, and still feel uncontented. At the same time, a man can just have all the basic comforts, but feel so grateful, so contented with all that he has. He looks upon everything as a blessing from the Lord. When inner peace is not there, you will always be hankering for external possessions to attain some peace. But the pursuit of outer peace is always temporary, as we know, and leaves you hankering for more things. So the The antidote for kama desire is santosha, to always thank the Lord in your prayers, in your mind. Be always content with what you have. Strive for other things, but whatever you get, be contented. So, uh, what you call Shankara again gives us an example to explain our predicament. He says, if you show a cow a clump of grass, the cow will be very delighted and move towards you to enjoy the grass. Why does the cow do this? Because of its limited knowledge. It identifies itself as the cow body, says, I'm hungry, and that man is holding a nice clump of grass, and if I eat that grass, my hunger will go away. The cow cannot contemplate on higher goals like Aham Atma Asmi and is only able to identify as this cow body. Now, supposing you take away the grass and show the cow a stick, the cow immediately feels threatened that you're going to beat him, which he identifies with and causes his pain, so he runs away from you. Shankara says we humans are also living our lives in the same way because of our wrong notion, I am the body. We are always running after external objects, people, places, looking for some happiness. We are attracted by external thinking, wrongly thinking that that will give me happiness. Just like the cow, due to body identification, thinks eating that grass, I will be happy. So, this is called going after something conducive to attain happiness. And this cannot happen without deha abhimana, that is, wrongfully identifying ourselves with this body. So now our whole lives, our actions are either in two directions. Either we go towards things we like, which we think will bring us happiness, and we run away from things which we think will not bring us happiness. Now, what about krodha? So, kama is neutralized by santushta, what we call be grateful for what you have, be content. Krodha has got to be neutralized with shama or patience. Always, what is that? How do we practice shama? Always try to look upon the situation from the point of others. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. That is the antidote for krodha. Lobha, greed. The remedy is to practice dhanam, charity. So if we have greed, how do we overcome this? Practice dhanam or charity. At first it might hurt to give some dhanam, but as you go on giving dhanam, slowly there is inner peace. And then it becomes only natural. So, thus by the practice of the three opposite qualities, santosha, shama and dhanam, may you slowly give up the three evils of kama, krodha, lobha, which are the barriers to your spiritual growth. You will then gradually come out of these three evils. So in verse 22, the Lord goes on to say, Eter, these, tribher, three, tamo dwares. Dwares is the door, gateways leading to tama. Kama, krodha, lobha are the three gateways that lead us towards tamaha, which means darkness, which means hell or spiritual downfall. And the Lord says these three tamasic doors, bhavati, bring about the downfall. And if one bhavati becomes vimuktaha, free, so the liberated one becomes free by giving up kama, krodha and lobha through the practice of santosha, shama and dhanam. And such a person who avoids these three evils is qualified to be called a naraha, a human being. So very important point the Lord makes. If you follow a demonic lifestyle, you don't deserve to be called a naraha, a human being. But one who, what we call, avoids these three tamasic doors, bhavati, becomes vimuktaha, free from these three evils. So, and he is what we call deemed to be called a naraha, a human being. So what is the difference? Animals just follow their desires. They don't think whether the desire will lead them to destruction or will lead them to spiritual growth. They don't have that capacity. So if human beings also just blindly follow their desires, their senses, and don't think carefully where their desires are leading to their spiritual downfall, and what is the difference between a human being and an animal. A naraha, a human being, is one who uses the equipment that he has been gifted, and one special equipment that the Lord has gifted every human being is the buddhi or the intellect, to lead the life and give priorities to the right goals in life. So, this is what the Lord says. That in fact, there is a famous sloka in our scriptures that says, hunger for food, sleep, fear for security, and for desire for progeny, for producing children, are the common features of both animals and humans. Both animals and humans, they eat food, they drink water, they must have sleep, they have fear for their security, so they try to build their own shelter, their home, and they have a desire to produce more of their same kind. The only thing that is special for humans is the intellect. If a human being does not apply the intellect to lead the correct lifestyle, then he or she is no different from animals. So the Lord says here, those who have this self-control and are thus devoid of the three defects of karma, krodha and lobha, what will be their natural tendency? He says they will acharati, strive. They will put in all the necessary effort, which is shreyas, good, the right action, the good action that benefits them and progresses them spiritually, like karma yoga, upasana yoga, jnana yoga, for the purpose of uplifting atmanaha. The word used here, atmanaha, means uplifting your own self. For your spiritual growth, one will commit to performing various sadhanas. So there are said to be two possible paths in a human life. One is called preyas, P-R-E-Y-A-S, which is the path of pleasure, enjoyment. And the other is shreyas, the path of the good. So, path of the good requires a lot of sacrifice. Part of enjoying pleasures does not require any sacrifice. But the result of path of the good is it leads to spiritual growth. The path of prayers, which is only constantly giving to pleasures, leads to a spiritual downfall and spiritual destruction. So, to lead a life of self-discipline is the most important thing. And in chapter 18 verse 37, Krishna defines chapter 18 verse 37. He says there are three types of happiness: sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. Sattvic happiness, Lord says, is like poison in the beginning, but like nectar in the end. In chapter 18 verse 38, he says, rajasic happiness is like nectar in the beginning and poison in the end. So, it's very important, therefore, we follow the path of Shreyas, and this is what Arjuna asked for when he surrendered to the Lord in chapter 2 verse 7. He requested the Lord to show him the path of Shreyas, the path of the good. So the path that leads you to Dharma and Moksha. And in the Mahabharata, we can see that Duryodhana followed the path of prayers and Yudhishthira always followed the path of Shreyas also. In the Mahabharata, there is advice for humans how they should lead the right life. There are three types of examples given to explain three different lifestyles. The first is Angaraka, second is Malakara, the third is Madhukari. So, now, what is Angaraka? Angaraka lifestyle is based on a coal seller, C-O-A-L, coal. He goes to the forest, he cuts down trees, burns them to make the coal, sell in the market for his income. He does not care if by constantly cutting down trees, he is causing long-term ecological destruction. The trees provide oxygen, shade, shelter, flowers, fruits, and they also produce new plants. But the coal seller is not concerned about all this. So that's one type of lifestyle that people lead. Second is called Malakara, is a flower seller. He goes to a plant, he picks only some flowers from each plant. He does not destroy the whole tree. Thus, the tree continues to live to provide oxygen, give more fruits and flowers, and produce seed for future trees. Second type of lifestyle. Third type of lifestyle is called Madhukari. The Mahabharata says is a most noble way to live. It's like the honeybee. The honeybee goes from flower to flower. It takes whatever nectar it needs from the flower and then carries the pollen from one flower to another flower, and that nourishes the other flower. Thus, the honeybee takes but also gives back. So, this type of lifestyle the Mahabharata advocates for all humans to follow. You take but you give back. So the Lord says, what is the result of such a refined lifestyle? In verse 22, he says, Tatha, as a result, the spiritual seeker will attain Param Gatim. Param means the highest, Gati means the goal, which is moksha. So, by following this correct lifestyle, by not giving in to Kama, Krodha, Lobha, will lead one to the highest spiritual goal. That brings us to verse 23. So, in verse 23, here's what the Lord says now. Now, where are we going to get all this knowledge? So, there are generally three ways in which we can attain knowledge: Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shastra. Pratyaksha means by direct experience. Through my five senses and mind, I can experience many things, and that adds to my knowledge. Pratyaksha, direct experience. Anumana means inference. I don't experience it directly, but through some means I can infer. For example, I see smoke from far away, I can infer there is fire, although I can't see the fire. So in the same way, when we see people doing the wrong actions and coming to their downfall, we must also learn by inference that this is the wrong lifestyle to follow. And the third is Shastra, that is from the words of the scriptures. If I want to know how to lead a dharmic life, the best way is by gaining knowledge from scriptures. And scriptures explain to us the benefits of dharmic life and the problems associated with adharmic life. So Krishna says in verse 23, for materialistic people, their intellect is already clouded with desire, with greed, with anger. So they should get the help of scriptures if they want to correct themselves and lead a dharmic life. But for materialistic people, they are not interested in the scriptures, nor do they listen to the sages and saints. So Krishna says, Yaha, he who utsrijya, ignores. He who ignores what? He who ignores vidhim. Vidhi means instructions or injunctions of the scriptures. Now, we cannot blame the Lord. If we ignore the scriptural teachings, how can we blame the Lord? He has given us many scriptures. He has given us many gurus. He has gifted us with the power of intellect to understand this knowledge. Despite all this, if we don't use what He has provided to uplift ourselves, we have only ourselves to blame for the consequences. We follow the wrong lifestyle and then justify our actions. That this is the only way to live. Or maybe we see other people prospering by following a dharmic lifestyle and we just want to follow them. So, so the Lord says that he who ignores the scriptures. So he who ignores the scriptures, and how does a materialistic person lead his lifestyle? If he doesn't take the advice of the scriptures, vartate, the Lord says he vartate means he acts kama karata. Kama is desire, karata is according to his own whims and fancies. And these whims and fancies are guided by rajasic or tamasic gunas. Now, therefore, if a person, materialistic person, filled with kama, krodha, lobha, desire, anger, greed, does not take the advice of the scriptures or the saints and follows his own whims and fancies, what happens? Saha, the Lord says, such a person living by his selfish desires and not following the instructions of the scriptures, na does not avapnoti attain siddhim, success. So here success means not materialistic success, because demonic people have power, have money, have everything. But what here it means is you don't attain success means chitta shuddhi. Chitta means mind, shuddhi means purity, purification of the mind. Because if he leads the right lifestyle, he will attain purification of the mind, and he will be able to retain with a purified mind to receive and retain spiritual knowledge. So neither does this person get success in terms of mental purity, and without purification of the mind, he will not attain param, the highest gatim, goal, which is moksha. So without purified mind, you cannot get knowledge. Without knowledge, you cannot get moksha also. Okay, because so this is the most important thing. When there is no desire for spiritual knowledge, he will also therefore not only get a purified mind, he will not attain the goal of moksha. On top of that, the Lord says, na sukham, he also will not attain happiness. Now, it does not mean he won't get any happiness, because this demonic person gives into what we call desire, anger, greed. He will get some fleeting happiness by pursuing and fulfilling his desires, but he will never get the ultimate absolute bliss that only moksha can give. So by following your whims and fancies and living a life of sense gratification and material growth, such a person will never get purity of mind, will not get knowledge, will not get moksha, and will not get the ultimate bliss. So what to do now? The question is what to do. And Krishna tells us in the closing verse of chapter 16, that is verse 24. So Krishna says a human being should understand that the right way is to take the guidance from the scriptures. The scriptures are the authority which guide us to dharmic living. So the Lord says in verse 24, Tasmat, therefore, Vashtitao, in the matter of karya, what needs to be done, what action is the right action, and akarya. So there's karya, which is what needs to be done, and which action do I follow if I want spiritual growth, and akarya, which is not to be done, what action is to be avoided. So, since these two lifestyles, dharma and adharma, and their consequences are very clearly pointed out in the scriptures, the Lord says, they, for you, meaning for all of us who are interested in the spiritual path, the Lord says, let the Shastra, the scriptures, be your prananam. Prananam means authority or guide. So let the scriptures be your guide to tell you what is right and what is wrong. Don't follow your whims and fancies. Don't follow sometimes advice of others who themselves do not know what they are doing. So what happens? The Lord says, after going through the Shastra, the scriptures, and Nyatva, understanding what is right, what is wrong, with Hanoktam, which has been outlined in the scriptures, the right and wrong conduct and the consequences. What should you do? The Lord says, just knowing the instructions, reading the scriptures and knowing what is right lifestyle and wrong lifestyle is not good enough. It's like saying, I know exercise and eating right foods is very beneficial for my health. So are you doing it? No, I am not. I know what is right, but I am not implementing that. So what should one do? In fact, there is a beautiful story in Mahabharata when Krishna asked Duryodhana, don't you know that all these adharmic actions you are doing will cause your downfall? Duryodhana replied, Krishna, don't try to teach me what is dharma, what is adharma. My problem is I know everything about dharma, but I cannot follow. And I know everything about adharma, but I cannot stop myself from doing that. Why? Because greed, pride, envy all had overpowered Duryodhana so strongly. Although he knew what is right and wrong and their consequences, he did not follow the right path and came to his own destruction in the end. So let us not be like Duryodhana and wait until it is too late. So the Lord says, upon gaining knowledge from the scriptures, arhasi, you ought to kartum, perform karma, actions, do that which are dharmic, avoid those which are adharmic. And when to implement all this? I get the knowledge from the scriptures. I know what I should do. When do I implement it? Iha, right now, immediately, don't delay. Don't delay and wait for the next life. Why? Because you don't know whether in the next life you will get a human birth or not. So don't delay this, don't waste this precious human birth. As Bhagwan cannot help you unless you decide to make the first step and help yourself. So this is the advice of the Lord. Don't follow your whims and fancies. Take the knowledge from the scriptures. Upon having attained the knowledge, apply it in your life and do it immediately as soon as possible. So thus ends the commentary of chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, entitled The Division of the Divine and Demoniac Qualities. And when we resume in the next video, we will start with chapter 17. Hari Om Tat Sat.